Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to begin by giving our praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushua, Bahashem Ruach Kodash. Double honors to the elders and to the apostle of Millstone, and then our respected brothers that are pushing and spreading the gospel of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua to the focus of the world. Now, through the spirit of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua, I wanted to do a quick lesson in the book of Job, the 36th chapter, and Lord willing, this be edifying. The main topic will be focused on the idea of hell, or a place where people receive judgment from the Lord. And so I want to begin by just playing a few seconds or maybe a minute of this clip, a great video made by the Elder Rakar from the GMS London camp, and we'll move on from there.
Now, heaven or hell in the Bible as an actual place is not given as a punishment or a reward. In terms of the way you live on earth, it can be heaven or hell. And this is where we got to fine-tune what the scriptures are speaking about. The place where men are rewarded or punished is always on earth. All right? Whenever a man has committed evil or done good, the reward for them is always something which manifests itself in earth.
God.
It was never a thing in the scripture where you had to die and then you were punished or rewarded based upon being placed in some metaphysical realm. That's never been a thing in the scriptures. Whenever a prophet or whenever a man of the Lord warned a people of their misdeeds, they were never threatened with dying and going to hell.
Yeah.
Moses never threatened the people with dying and going to hell. He threatened them with curses that would manifest themselves in their lives on earth. You understand? Okay? So this is where you get this disconnect between Christianity and the truth which is in the Bible. Christianity is selling a reward in heaven versus a punishment in hell.
It's a great video, and I encourage everyone, if you have not seen it, the whole video, to watch it. If you've seen it, if you've not seen the whole video, it's worth it. See the whole video. All right. So with that being, amazingly put, I'm just going to go into the book of Job, the 36th chapter, as an example of, another example of the many scriptures that, proves how the Lord judges people on earth. And it's also a good idea. Let me just put it this way. This is why the apostles say that reincarnation is one of the biggest things, one of the biggest stumbling blocks for people who want the truth in the Bible. If you refuse that, there are so many things in the scriptures that you will never ever understand. There's so many things that will forever remain a mystery to you because of that. Because here it is, we're saying that everybody who sins, the Lord judges them and their life becomes hell and it manifests on earth. But then there are also some people who seems to die without having, right, there are many examples or accounts or even witnesses. We may all be witnesses of that, of people who have lived wickedly, but then they seem to die a peaceful death, right? And that's the kind of, if you don't understand what reincarnation is, you would go around thinking that he is in some extra dimensional place. And if you don't understand that reincarnation exists, you would never understand why, or even you would probably charge the Lord with a false accusation that he is unrighteous. When situations happens where someone is born with an infirmity, right? And you figure out, well, why would the Lord allow these things to happen to this person who, quote unquote, is innocent? But the problem is that they were never innocent. They just are living out their sentence here on earth. Some people, the Lord have their judgment manifest immediately in one single lifetime. Some, the Lord just, I guess it does not, is not interested in correcting them in that moment. And so they add sin onto sin onto sin onto sin, and eventually the sin is so great that they cannot bear. A prime example of that is Esau. Okay, so this is a major stumbling block. When you read the scriptures, like you said, the Lord has never threatened anybody with that in the Old Testament. This became a new thing, not even in the New Testament. This was way after. And then all this, that's why he brought in First Timothy, the 4th chapter. But refuse profane and old wives' fables, and exercise thyself rather unto ungodliness. This whole misunderstanding is because people are too lazy to go into the root words, to go into the translations and find out what's the actual word that's supposed to be used there. What they don't understand is that when the pure language, which is Hebrew, is translated into another language, there are certain words that must be borrowed, right, from that other language to make it make sense to people who speak that language. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it means something else or it means any new thing. You only have to go into the actual word in the Greek, and then you understand, in the Hebrew, and then you understand, oh, yes, this is what it means, this is what it means. You read the book, you read of hell in the scriptures, and you don't find out whether it's talking about Gehenna or Sheol or whatever it is, then you'll be lost. So with that being said, I want to begin actually with the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 16. It says that, verse 15, it says, that which has been is now, and that which is to be hath already been, and God requireth that which is past. In other words, nobody does anything scot-free. So he requires that which is past. Let's look at that in a different translation. It says that which has already been. Oh, let's see. Right. Right, there it is, CSB. Amazing. It says whatever is has already been, and whatever will be already is. However, God seeks justice for the persecuted, right? So, he seeks what has passed by. There are different ways in which these translations are looking at it, but the Most High requireth that which is past. Verse 16, it says, and moreover I saw under the sun, under the same sun that we all see, which is the earth. The only thing that's underneath the sun is the earth. He said, moreover I saw under the sun the place of judgment, that wickedness was there, and the place of righteousness, that iniquity was there. All right, so let's read about that in the book of Job, the 36th chapter, verse 1. If you read the whole book of Job, you'll find out that the Lord eventually, calls Job's friends, including Elihu. He says that they have brought a wrong account of the Lord. That isn't to say that everything they said was true, but what it's actually saying is that their accusation of Job being wicked was false. But nevertheless, all that they've said is in the scriptures because it's for our learning, so we can read it and understand that yes, this and this is true. They were only wrong in who they I guess they were only wrong about who they directed this to. All right. So Job chapter 36, verse 1, it says, Elihu also proceeded and said, suffer me a little, and I will show thee what I have yet to speak on God's behalf. I will fetch my knowledge from afar and ascribe righteousness to my Maker. For truly my words shall not be false. He that is perfect in knowledge is with thee. Behold, God is mighty, and despiteth not any. He is mighty in strength and wisdom. He preserveth not life of the wicked, but giveth right to the poor. He withdraweth not his eyes from the righteous, but with kings are they set on thrones. Let me read this again. He withdraweth not his eyes from the righteous, but with kings are they on thrones. Right? Yea, he doth establish them forever, and they are exalted. That's why the elder said, Even when it comes to the kingdom of heaven, it is the will or the establishment of God. I don't know if you mentioned that. Let me see.
And like I said, this is going back to the Greeks, right? And this also goes back to Edomites in the Middle Ages. And the Catholic Church used...
Right. I guess it's later on. But, the idea of kings shows you that there are what? Where they are being rewarded as kings, there are also people who are receiving judgments as subjects, because you cannot be a king without ruling over people. All right. So that's it on that. It says, and if they be bound in fetters, right, and be holden in cords of affliction, then he showeth them their work and their transgression, that they have exceeded. Right? This is describing life on earth. Situations, depending on who it is, depending on who you ask. Some people are bound, some people are free, right? Some people are kings, some people are subjects, some people are rich, some people are poor. But it's not always so black and white. Sometimes people may be, the righteous may seem as though they are lacking in life, but it's only so that they may be delivered in the latter end, right? The scriptures goes into details in that. So, don't just read this precept and start thinking you understand the world. You don't. But it does give you a little bit of insight. Verse 8, chapter 36 and 8, it says, if they be bound in fetters and be holden in cords of affliction, then he showeth them their work and their transgression, that they have exceeded. He openeth also their ear to discipline, and commandeth that they return from iniquity. If they obey and serve him, they shall spend their days in prosperity, and their years in pleasures. But if they obey not, they shall perish. What? They shall perish by the sword. That is the judgment. The judgment is in what you receive after death, in some extra dimension where you're being poked and burned, and demons giggling and doing all this shit, being tickled, all this fetish shit that's going on over there. It happens on earth. And I'm gonna tell you this, man. Read the book of Job. If you for a second think that the Lord is less scary because hell is not real, read the book of Job. Job tells you that the Lord has been terrible, right? In other words, the terror of the Lord was great. He said he was tormented in dreams. He tossed and turns, the itching and all. The Lord can mess you up. There are many proud men, proud kings in the scriptures who the Lord has humbled. So don't let this truth change your perception of the fear of the Lord. So it says, but if they bear not, they perish by the sword, and they shall die without knowledge. But the hypocrites in heart heap up wrath. They cry not when he bindeth them. They die in youth, and their life is among the unclean. Right? That's it. Dying in the youth, and their life is among the unclean. He delivereth the poor in his affliction, and openeth their ears in oppression. Even so would he have removed thee out of the strait into a broad place, where there is no straightness, and that which should be set on thy table should be full of fatness, and the reward also happens on earth. It's not a place where you go and you're wearing a nightgown and you're just floating on a bunch of clouds. Your spirit goes to the Father, and in that spiritual realm, it's different from on earth. The book of Job talks about it, how, everything ceases over there, that the calamities and the commotions on earth, that doesn't go up there. But nevertheless, that's not where you live. That ain't where you're going to be forever. And that's not your reward. Your reward will be here on earth. So it says, but thou hast filled the judgment of the wicked. Judgment and justice take hold on thee. Because there is wrath, beware lest he take thee away with his stroke, and then a great ransom cannot deliver thee. Will he esteem thy riches? No. not gold, nor all the forces of strength. Desire not the night when people are cut off in their place, right? In their place meaning on earth, in their homes, in their wherever it is that they feel safe, in their cities. Take heed and regard not iniquity, for this hast thou chosen rather than affliction. Behold, God exalteth by his power, and who teacheth like him? Who hath enjoined him in his way, right? Who has enjoined him his way? Or who can say thou hast wrought iniquity? When that's how powerful the Lord is. When you're being judged, there ain't nothing you can do. There's nothing you can say. And there's nothing you can use as a leverage or as a ransom. You're just in it until his wrath is appealed. Remember that thou magnify his work which men behold. That's why, when that thermonuclear destruction comes, when that fire is kindled on earth, it's gonna feel like eternity for some people, because the Lord is proving a point, and he is holding his anger all this time, and you ain't get it out of that fire until he decides that you have atoned for your sins. It's gonna be a long ride, man. It's gonna all right. And your soul ain't going nowhere, because he has to go. The only reason your soul separates from your body is if the Lord calls it. If he chooses not to, you just remain in it. Every man may see it, man may behold it afar off. Behold, God is great, and we know him not. Neither can the number of his years be searched out. He maketh small the drops of water, they pour down rain according to the vapor thereof, which the clouds do drop and distill upon man abundantly. Also, can any understand the spreadings of the cloud, or the noise of his tabernacle? Behold, he spreadeth his light upon it, and covereth the bottom of the sea, for by them judges he the people. He giveth meat in abundance. With clouds he covereth the light. He commanded it not to shine by the cloud that cometh betwixt. The noise thereof showeth concerning it. The cattle also concerning the vapor. All right, so the place under the sun showing you that it's on earth, right? So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it on that. I highly encourage brothers to watch this video. In fact, I'm just gonna save it in breakdowns, and that's it. All right, so that's pretty much it on that. I don't want to make this too long. I'm pretty sure the point has been made. So in closing, I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Racha Kodash, Shalom, Yahabash Meshar Bakathamto Yakim Sanakos, that are listening in truth and sincerity. May the blessing of Allah should be upon our house. And until next time, Shalom.